You know, every single nation has laws on the books designed to do one thing: protect its own existence, its own security. Today, we're going to break down some of the most serious offenses a person can commit against their country, crimes that really get to the heart of loyalty and betrayal.
I mean, really think about that for a second. What does it actually mean to betray your own country? That single question is the bedrock for all the laws we're diving into today, the ones that draw the ultimate line in the sand.
All right, so here's our game plan. We're going to tackle this in 4 big chunks. First, we'll hit the big one, treason. Then, we'll see how the law punishes not just the crime itself, but even the idea of it. After that, we'll slip into the shadowy world of spies and international incidents. And finally, we'll wrap things up on the high seas with the age-old crime of piracy.
Okay, so let's jump right in with the absolute core crime against the state: treason. We're talking about something that goes way beyond just breaking a rule. This is seen as an act of fundamental disloyalty, a strike against the nation itself.
So what is treason exactly? Well, Article 114 of the Revised Penal Code is super specific, and it all starts with who can commit it. If you're a Filipino citizen, your allegiance is considered total. Doesn't matter where you are in the world. For resident aliens, that duty of loyalty applies to anything they do while in the Philippines.
So how do you actually cross that line and commit treason? The law boils it down to 2 very distinct actions. First, there's levying war. And let's be clear, this is way more than just a protest. It means literally taking up weapons against the government. The second way is aiding enemies. This can be anything from handing over intelligence to giving them supplies, shelter, or any kind of support.
Now here's where it gets really interesting. Proving treason is incredibly difficult, and that's by design. The standard of proof is one of the highest you'll find, and it all comes down to the number 2. To get a conviction, you need at least 2 witnesses who saw the exact same overt act. The only other way? A confession, right there in open court. This massive burden of proof is there to make sure the charge of treason is never, ever used lightly as a political tool.
Okay, but what if the war never starts? What if the betrayal is stopped before it even happens? Well, the law doesn't just wait around for the worst to happen. It actually goes after the plot in its earliest stages, what you could call the seeds of treason.
The law recognizes 2 key phases of planning. First, you have conspiracy. That's when 2 or more people get together, agree on the plan, and actually decide to go through with it. But the law goes even further back, to something called proposal. This is the very first spark, when just one person suggests the idea of treason to someone else, and the crime is just in the asking. It doesn't even matter if the other person says no.
So what if you're not part of the plot, but you know about it? Can you just stay quiet? The law has a very clear answer: no. That silence actually has a name: misprision of treason. If you know about a conspiracy to commit treason and you don't report it, you're committing a crime yourself. It really is the crime of knowing silence.
And get this, you can't just tell anybody. The law is super specific about who you need to go to. You have to notify the governor or fiscal of the province, or the mayor or fiscal of the city. It's a legal duty to report what you know, and you've got to report it to the right people.
All right, so beyond direct betrayal, there are other sneakier ways to put the nation at risk. This next part is all about leaking state secrets and committing reckless acts that could literally drag the country into a war.
Espionage. Yeah, it sounds like something straight out of a spy movie, but it's a very real and serious threat. At its core, espionage is all about getting or giving away information related to national defense. And that's the key part. The secrets have to be crucial to the country's ability to protect itself. According to Article 117, espionage can happen in 2 main ways. The first is what you might picture: someone sneaking into a place like a military base or a warship without permission, trying to steal secrets. The second path is specifically for public officials, people who already have access to classified info because of their job, who then turn around and leak it to someone from another nation.
The law also punishes actions that could just completely wreck diplomatic relations. On one hand, you have inciting to war. This is when someone does something so out of line, so provocative, that it gives another country a reason to declare war on the Philippines. Then on the other hand, you have violation of neutrality. This is for situations where the Philippines is neutral in a war between other countries, and someone here breaks those rules of neutrality, risking dragging the whole nation into a fight that isn't its own.
For our final section, we're leaving the world of politics and spies and heading out to the open ocean. Because, let's face it, threats to national security don't just happen on dry land.
So Article 122 lays out two major crimes at sea. Piracy is what we all think of, right? Robbers on the water attacking a ship and taking whatever they want. Mutiny, though, is an inside job. That's when the ship's own crew, or even its passengers, rise up and illegally take control from the captain.
But listen, not all piracy is treated the same. The law recognizes a much more severe crime called qualified piracy. This is when the act goes way beyond simple robbery and involves extreme cruelty or violence. If the pirates seize a ship by force, abandon their victims to die, or commit horrible acts like murder or rape, the crime is elevated and the punishment becomes absolutely severe.
And to really get a sense of the gravity here, just look at the penalties. We're talking up to 40 years behind bars for treason or qualified piracy. Even just planning treason or being an official who leaks secrets can land you in prison for up to 12 years. These aren't just random numbers. They're a powerful statement about how seriously a nation takes its own survival.
So when you step back and look at all of these laws together, from treason to espionage to piracy, one single theme just shines through. They aren't just a rulebook of punishments. They are, in a way, the legal definition of allegiance itself. They draw a very hard line around the duties of loyalty and what it means to protect a nation's security, its stability, and its very sovereignty.
And that kind of leaves us with one final big question to think about. In our modern world, where information zips across borders in a split second and our identities are more global than ever, what does loyalty to one single nation even mean anymore? It's a complicated question, and it's one that these very old, very fundamental laws force us to grapple with today.